Hi, let me welcome you to number 8. This is our 8th video in our weekly production series video where we are putting together a batch of mandolins. Now, we have the mandolins brought along so far, and we have some necks, but we don't have all of the necks we need. And so this video and the focus of this video will be to show you all of the steps that it takes to get our necks ready to go in the mandolins and then start installing those necks in the mandolins. Number one, we had to get the material. This is a nice 2-inch curly maple board, about 8 or 10 inches wide. And the first thing I done was to saw off a chunk about yay big off of the end of this board and pencil on the rough profiles of the necks. And then I took everything to the bandsaw and started sawing until I had a pile of shaped neck blanks. After that, I got my handy dandy centering jig for the table saw and sawed the truss rod slot right exactly down the middle of that neck. And at the end of the neck, where the actual working parts of the truss rod go, we have a little bit of bigger space, so we have to drill a hole down through there and then clean everything up so that we can get to the truss rod nut on and the tool down in there should we ever need to adjust the truss rod in the future. Then we had to glue on peg head ears and unclamped everything and took it to the sander, cleaned up the face of the peg head, leveled everything up, and then to the thickness sander to at least do a rough leveling of the back of the peg head. Now the next step is to drill the holes for the tuning keys. That's done with a big piece of metal that's been bent, center lined up and everything with holes drilled in the ear. And so we're going to load the neck blank into this big chunk of metal. It lays down basically on a plywood box that's angled up so that the peg head itself is parallel to the table, and drill right down through our holes, and we will have the holes drilled in the right place. After that, we're going to take this little template, just a piece of wood, and pencil on profile of the peg head shape that we want. Saw that out on the bandsaw, and then we're going to round the back of that neck over all the way down to the heel, which we will leave until it's time to fit that particular neck into whatever mandolin we choose for it. Now let's install one of those necks in mandolin number 4. The mandolin neck is placed in a centering jig. The mandolin body itself is lined up on the neck and in line with the centering jig, and the profile is traced out on the neck heel. The neck is then placed in this jig that holds it at the proper angle this way and this way, and it's sewn out on the bandsaw. As I mentioned before, the heel block is still square, and so now it's time to saw this taper in here, which I have penciled on here so that you'll understand what I'm talking about. At this point, the heel button is still square, so I pencil on roughly the heel button shape and round that over with a rasp. clean everything up and smooth everything together. And then it is time to fit the neck to the mandolin. All of that work will be done on this particular jig, whose only purpose is to make sure the neck and the body are on center line with each other and that the neck angle is correct, so that the bridge height will be correct on the finished instrument. I work the neck into the body a little bit at a time, adjusting as I go, making sure everything fits and lines up and everything exactly the way I want it to. And when I'm happy, it's time to spread the glue and glue the neck and the body together. The 2 screws are used to lock everything into place permanently. And after all that mess is done, it's time to glue in the kerfing in preparation for installing the back. After I've done the kerfing, I lay everything aside to dry. So that is number 4. The neck is installed, the kerfing is installed, the back is already made, and once all that stuff is dry and everything, it'll be time to install the back. We'll very soon be able to call it a mandolin instead of a collection of parts. And now we are far enough along to glue the neck in mandolin number 11. And now the kerfing in number 11. And the neck has now been glued into number 6. And number 5. And it's back. Number 7. Number 7. And that is number 8, and it's back. Number 9, which we just put the neck in, is going to be a very unusual mandolin. It has an F-style body and an A-style neck. Very pretty combination, actually. In fact, I have a left-handed version very similar to that that I've been playing for the last couple of years. Nice sounding mandolin, and I like it. I think it's pretty, and I think this one will be as well. And finally, we have here the last neck to be installed, an A model, number 10 in the batch. This particular mandolin is going to have an internal pickup installed before we put the back on. So here we are at the end of the week. I have all 11 mandolins laid out for you. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 here in the box. They've already gotten the back glued on. The rest of them are awaiting that. They have the backs rubber banded onto the bodies just to keep them with their respective bodies and to eliminate any confusion. Before we glue the backs on 2 of them, we have to install pickups. And then after the backs are glued on, 3 of these get binding on the backs. So that's where we're at. We'll address all those issues in next week's video. Hope to see you then. Click the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later.